Hello friends, welcome to BScAgriculture. If you are coming to my channel for the first time, then don't forget to hit the subscribe button. So let's move to the video. In this video, we are going to see about fundamentals of soil science. I am going to cover the topic weathering of rocks as well as minerals. So first, I am going to give you a small introduction about weathering of rocks. So while seeing about weathering of rocks, the first step is it can be the rocks or minerals first need to be weathered by the environmental factors, and then at the second step, the rocks or minerals which is said to be formed into regolith or else the parent material, which is the basic material for the formation of true soil from regolith. So it is the last step. So how the weathering of rock formation is said to be made, and after that I can able to give you the definition for weathering of rocks. So the weathering is nothing but a process of disintegration or decomposition of rocks and minerals, which are said to be done by the physical agents as well as chemical process leading to the formation of regolith. So you must need to remember that regolith, which is said to be nothing but an unconsolidated residue of weathered rocks, so which is said to be present in the earth's surface or the above the solid rocks. So you must need to know that. And after that, the parent material. So the parent material, which is also known as regolith, and it is said to be known as the upper portion of the rocks. And while seeing about the parent material, it is said to be more or defined, unconsolidated, as well as more or less chemically weathered mineral materials are said to be present in them, which is said to, where the soil is said to be developed among them. And after that, after seeing the definitions, we can able to see about the different process of weathering. So while knowing about them, there are said to be around 3 processes for weathering. They are the physical process, chemical process, as well as biological process. In physical process, the other names are mechanical process and disintegration, and the chemical process other names are decomposition. So we can able to see about them. So the first one I am going to tell is physical process. So physical process is nothing but where the rocks are said to be disintegrated and broken down due to the environmental changes into completely smaller pieces. So in these changes, there is no new substance are produced. Only the big particles are said to be broken into small pieces in the physical process. So while seeing about the physical process, different types. The first one is physical conditioning of the rocks. So based on the physical condition about its hardness as well as the type of nature, the rocks can be broken down by the mechanical force or else by crashing in between them on their own. The condition is said to be made. And after that, the changes in temperature. So when the rocks are exposed to higher temperature and suddenly cooled during nights, the rocks are said to be disintegrated. For example, in deserts, we can only able to see the sand because the rise in temperature during the days as well as the cooling, sudden cooling at nights causes the weathering of rocks. And after that, third is the action of H2O. The action of H2O, where the water can be acted on the rocks in 4 different forms. The first one is fragmentation and transport. So the continuous flow of water on the rock surface made the weathering process and transport them in the water flow. And the second is action of freezing. So while flowing in water, once crack or break in the rocks, they use it to enter into the rocks. So when they were exposed to cooled conditions, they go for freezing, so which use it to increase the gaps in between them. So the rocks are said to be break down by the action of water. And the third process of water is alternative wetting as well as drying. So the wetting and drying in the rock surfaces also increases the weathering process due to the presence and absence of water. And the action of glaciers. So the glaciers, where they use it to form ice crystals in the rocks surrounding them, once they are said to be melted, they use it to expose them to these sudden hot temperatures, and the different changes are said to be made and the weathering processes occur. It's how the action of water is said to be done in physical process. And the fourth one is action of wind. So the wind also plays an important role by taking the upper surface of the rocks. So the newer formation of soil is said to be done. And the fifth one is atmospheric electrostatic phenomenon. So the static energy in the earth surface also makes in the weathering process. These are the physical process, and another one is chemical process. So the chemical process is nothing but the decomposition of rocks and minerals by various chemical process. So it is one of the major and important process in soil formation. In this process, the new substance are said to be produced in the chemical process. So the 6 chemical process are hydration, solution, oxidation, hydrolysis, carbonation, and reduction. So the hydration is nothing but the action of water in the rocks, and hydrolysis is nothing but the reduction of water molecules from the rocks, and solution is activity of some of the chemical substance in the surrounding on the rocks, and carbonation is the action of CO2 in rocks, oxidation is the action of O2 in the rocks, and reduction is the reduction of oxygen compounds in the rocks. So these are the 6 chemical process which is done in the weathering of rocks. And the another one process is biological weathering. So while seeing about biological weathering, even man and animals are also doing the biological weathering process due to the artificial means. So they are said to be both disintegration as well as decomposition process made by the man. And higher plants, roots and soils also helps the increase in weathering process. So once if the roots are interacted or emerged inside the rocks, they use it to break and made them into smaller pieces. It's how they help in the biological weathering. And the microorganism, they use it to produce some of these chemical compounds. So by these chemicals, they use it to weather the rock surfaces. So after that, we can able to see about the weathering of minerals. So while seeing about the weathering of minerals, there are said to be around 3 classifications. They are the climatic conditions, physical character, and chemical and structural characteristics. So while seeing about the weathering of minerals during climatic conditions, so more than one factor which used to increase the weathering process. For example, in humid region, the weathering rate is said to be increased due to the high microbial activity, where the temperature is said to be suitable for those microorganisms, and as well as the weathering process. So and the second one is physical characteristics. So the minerals used to have different combination of minerals also depends on the weathering process. So if the mineral used to have high hardness as well as a scarcity, they use it to take much more time than the lower ones. And the particle size is also plays an important role. If the size of the particle is small, then the weathering process is said to be easy. For example, in talc. But if as well, if the particle size is said to be larger, that weathering process is said to be much more difficult. And the third one is hardness as well as degree of cementation of the mineral characteristics. And the final one is the chemical and structural characteristics of the minerals. So in chemical and structural characteristics are such as the particle size, chemical nature, as well as crystalline characteristics of the mineral used to determine the cases of weathering. And ferromagnesium minerals are said to be more susceptible to chemical weatherings, and non-ferro or non-susceptible to the chemical weatherings. You must need to remember that. And while seeing about the tightly packed minerals as well as loosely packed minerals, the tightly packed minerals are said to be go for more weathering sessions than the less tightly packed minerals. So the less tightly packed minerals are said to be easily weathered when compared to the tightly packed minerals. So and after these process, we can able to see about a general topic of soil forming factors. So in conditioning, the soil formation is said to be done by the process of 2 factors. The first one is weathering of rocks into regolith, and the formation of true soil from regolith is the 2 process made in the formation of soil. So the process mechanism, or in first step, the weathering is accomplished by both disintegration as well as decomposition of the parent major rocks, and which use it to convert them into regolith. And in second step, which is accompanied by the soil forming factors. So it's how the regolith is said to be formed into true soil. So I have given the lecture notes and description Please comment about the video and join us in the Instagram page. If you like the video, like it and share it with your friends, and subscribe to BSc Agriculture and hit the bell icon to get regular updates. So thanks for watching the video. I'll catch you up in next videos.